All right, first look at the Seahawks. How can the 49ers right the ship in week 2? In case you're wondering where I'm at, Sierra Nevada Mountains, Big Creek, California, in between Huntington Lake and Shaver Lake. That behind me is the Big Creek General Store. If you're ever in the area, you can get some really, really good sandwiches, burritos, whatever you might need. Anyway, just a few quick keys to kind of kick off the week here for 49ers Seahawks. Obviously, we saw Seattle play in the game yesterday. They lucked out against Denver. They lucked out because Denver, that was some tomfoolery from Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos kicking a 64-yard field goal with their timeouts left and Russell Wilson at quarterback. I talked about that last night. Just complete idiocy from the Broncos. So the Seahawks got a Seattle-style win. They lucked out. They're outgained by almost 200 yards. I still don't think this Seattle team is going to be particularly good this season. And the 49ers need to capitalize on some of the things that the Broncos semi-capitalized on, but didn't fully realize. Obviously, Denver fumbled twice at the 1-yard line, consecutive possessions. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So the 49ers obviously need to finish their drives. That's one. They didn't do that against Chicago. Pete Carroll teams, generally have good red zone defenses. They generally win in these kind of funny ways because they are able to deliver those clutch stops, I guess you can say. People who don't like the Seahawks would say that they're lucky, but we'll call it clutch for right now in respect of Seattle coming into town. 2, the 49ers need to find out a way to cool off Geno Smith. The Seahawks quarterback is literally the poster child of the NFL right now. If you go to the NFL's Twitter page, the banner is Geno Smith. He started out 17 of 18 yesterday. He was efficient, but if you look at the numbers in a more advanced way, he didn't throw very far downfield. And, I just rewatched that entire game. Seattle doesn't trust their offensive line. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But mainly, they kept things simple for Geno Smith, and they kept things as manageable as possible for that front. The average depth of target was only about 5 yards. The 49ers need to play top-down defensively. The linebackers need to cover. The safeties need to be disciplined. And they need to make tackles as soon as Seattle completes some passes. Anytime a QB starts 17 of 18, I remember back to when Alex Smith, the game before he suffered his concussion in 2012, started 19 of 20 against Arizona. And, Alex Smith wasn't pushing the ball all that far downfield. It was manageable passing, and the 49ers were chipping away, and it worked. Well, the 49ers can't let the Seahawks and Geno Smith do that to them in the game tomorrow. Flipping to the other side of the ball, the 49ers need to know where Uchenna Nwosu is. Seattle's moved to a 3-4 defense. They have changed defensive leadership. Ken Norton Jr., no longer the defensive coordinator. The Seahawks are running a 3-4 now. And Uchenna, he's a 250-pound outside linebacker, edge rushing hybrid who was all over the field against the Broncos. 5 pressures in that game. He's a big part of this defense, especially now that they won't have Jamal Adams. If you're the 49ers, you want to capitalize on no Jamal Adams, but Uchenna Nwosu is the player that you absolutely must block on this defense to open the door to attack the rest of it, which in my opinion has got some speed, but it has a lot of unproven players. They're young. This is not the Legion of Boom anymore. The last remnants of that are now gone. Bobby Wagner is in LA. So Uchenna Nwosu is a player that you absolutely must identify on that defensive end. All right, let's move back to the other side of the football. When the 49ers are on defense looking to stop the Seahawks. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I want to give you guys a full picture of how this game is probably going to flow. Seattle's left tackle is Charles Cross. The right tackle is Abraham Lucas. Neither of these guys is good in pass protection. The Seattle had this problem with Russell Wilson for years. They weren't able to adequately protect Russell Wilson. And, I think that they were able to get through some of the issues yesterday. Geno Smith obviously played well through the quicker passing game, getting rid of the ball quicker. And Geno also had some nice elusiveness, especially on that touchdown to Will Dissly. So it is absolutely imperative in this game that the 49ers beat Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, that they win against left tackle and right tackle, because the 49ers obviously have the personnel to do that. So, those are the game-specific keys in this one. I think that just from a larger overarching picture, the 49ers need to play with real sense of urgency here, because obviously Seattle's in first place in the NFC West. Everybody else lost. But week 1 didn't go well for the 49ers. But this is a marathon and it's not a sprint, but you don't want to go 0-2. It's not over if you go 0-2, but the vibes are bad if you go 0-2. So urgency is something that I'm really looking for as we enter this week. I thought that the 49ers came out, they didn't come out flat, that's for sure. They came out sharp against Chicago, but there wasn't urgency and as far as closing the game out. And as far as, let's hold on to the football if you're Deebo Samuel at the 12. Let's make sure that we score as much as possible in the first half. The 49ers weren't saying those things in the first half. It seemed that they were resting on their laurels a little bit, and then it bit them down the stretch. So you're just looking for a more complete effort because the talent, the potential of this roster was on display in Chicago, but they didn't package the whole thing. And that's the most important thing to do against Seattle, because I do believe that the 49ers have the better roster again in this game. They did last week. They weren't able to capitalize on it. This week, they're going to have to take that next step. And that's what's going to support Trey Lance the most as he tries to take the next step in his development.